up to a week ago, I had the pleasure and privilege of working very closely with Hilda. Now, when I picked up the book, all I saw was crisis. And I identified immediately with the author. But joking aside, it's a matter of great pride and satisfaction to have achieved this book, in that, as the many of you who are teachers here know, standing up and delivering is very different to actually crystallizing the material on the page in a way that then greatly increases its value because it can be used by others. Now, many of the rest of you have had the experience of being taught by Hilda, and she is, as you will well know, a remarkably engaged and engaging teacher. So it's terrific to see that distilled onto the page. And I'd like to really congratulate her for what I know was the very substantial effort required in getting there, while continuing to carry on all her other teaching and research and administrative duties.
The relationship between the media and academia is often a fraught one. The reporter is under pressure to sum up the findings of a lengthy academic study in a snappy one-line sentence. The academic fears that the journalist does not fully comprehend the complexities of the study and its findings. And sometimes this is true. But just as authorities, social workers and others around the world can focus on dealing with the short-term nature of a crisis, so too does the media. Hordes of TV and print reporters can descend upon the site of a crisis, whether it be a disaster such as Hurricane Katrina or the loss of thousands of jobs at Bank of America in Loughran. When the story loses its momentum after a few days, the media move on, but the people they reported on are left behind and left to their own devices. What grabbed me about Hilda's book was that it drives home the point that while handling a crisis in the short term with brief therapies is important, people also need to be there for the long haul. I'm confident that this book will ensure you are in an even better position to do so.
It's very powerful testimony to see so many people here. But I also feel very privileged to be asked to say a few words on the occasion of the launch of the book. The origin of the book is significantly rooted in Hilda's response to a request by local communities to work with them around the issue of crisis. So it's mentioned at the beginning of the book. And having been involved with Hilda over a good number of years, I'm very happy to see that this piece of writing has come to fruition. And also to see how Hilda has managed to include many different dimensions of the types of conversations that she had with students on this course and obviously other community-based courses. And in particular I'm struck, and it's very evident in the text, how Hilda has consistently situated her exploration of crisis within the context of the individual, the family and the community. Too often at the community level we have struggled to have these three words put together in the same sentence when it comes to exploring wider policy response to drug and alcohol issues at a policy level. So my sense is that this text will continue to inform conversations within communities and with other stakeholders. But the more we immerse ourselves in attending to what occurs in crisis, and again I think what the book did on reading it for me, the clearer it can be seen as a threshold, an entering of an unfamiliar space, where something new becomes possible, though the event itself may be disconcerting, overwhelming and even terrifying. The evidence, and again presented in the book, suggests that crisis will resolve itself somehow in a relatively short time, because people just can't sustain or endure the level of stress, distress or intense discomfort that accompanies the crisis experience. At the same time, our own experience often points to interventions that have somehow helped focus that resolution and have made it more than just the simple relief of distress. Accompanying someone at that threshold is perhaps one of those roles that nobody really attends to. And if it was well done, is often scarcely acknowledged amidst the tumult of crisis and change. And this book, and again, really a testament to it, it speaks into that role, creating conversations with the reader about crisis and thresholds and possibilities. I think, again, towards the end of the book, in presenting an integrated theoretical framework, Hilda introduced, among other constructs that are there present, what she terms the 3 C's of crisis conversations: calming, caring, and changing. It is clear and full and insightful and systemic. But most of all, for me, it pushes the reader to see crisis differently. And I am sure it will help individuals and families and communities to do likewise. So just to finish, just to say thank you very much, Hilda, and to echo what I said already, thank you for this book, for what went into writing it, and for what will come of its publication, and its bringing those ideas and constructs to a much bigger conversation.
I hope the book is readable for students and informative for those who have experienced crisis themselves or who are working to support those in crisis. It is true to say that I attempted to represent crisis as a personal experience, but in a social context. It is important that we understand the social situations that help or hinder how crises develop and how people deal with those crises. The book investigates the personal and social explanations of crisis and offers an integrative framework for dealing with crisis that embraces the need for calming, coping and changing, as Dermot pointed out. And finally, I just want to thank the School of Applied Social Science, in particular Brian Nolan and Ryan Fanning, for hosting the launch. Film from the Campus Bookstore, who made copies available, not for free, but they're there. Finally, to all of you for your continued support, which I really do appreciate. Thank you all for coming, and enjoy the read.